The Information Minister, Lai Mohammed, says government has asked all ministers, ambassadors, agency heads and other political appointees to resign on or by May 16th if they decide to join the country's 2023 election race. Other ministers that resigned include Ministers of Justice, Transport, Labour, Niger Delta, Science and Technology and Women's Affairs. President Muhammadu Buhari also acts as the senior petroleum minister. Buhari will step down after serving 2 4-year terms following the February 2023 ballot. Nigeria's political parties are running primary elections later this month and must pick their candidates by June 3rd.
Well, for some analysis on this story, we're now joined by Hassan Taiwo Soweto, who's a member of the Democratic Socialist Movement. Thanks very much indeed for joining us. Welcome to the program. Is it unusual to see so many senior officials resign shortly before an election?
That's because there's a new addition to the electoral law, Section 8412, which stipulates that all political appointees who wish to participate in the electoral process must resign at least 180 days before the elections. That is why we see what is happening now. It's not because there's any serious thing happening, but there's a new law, really, which the presidency has tried to amend, but they have not been able to do so, and they are therefore forced to comply by it.
What was the reasoning behind the law?
Well, just like you have in the ruling ANC in South Africa, in the ruling APC in Nigeria, there has been a whole lot of internal factional fight over the past 1 year between different sections of the ruling elite, in terms of who would have the most influence and control over the party apparatus in order to determine who will fly the flag of the party in the different elections that would be up for 2023 general elections. And then in the usual tradition of Nigeria's election, those who have executive power, they are always able to have those you call super delegates. These are party members who are appointed members of the government. They could be commissioners, they could be ministers, and all of that. And when it comes to period of elections, when the ruling party is to organize its primary, these ministers or commissioners, they are qualified, since they are members of the party, to serve as delegates to the national convention of the party in order to choose candidates for different positions, for the general elections. And since EU pays the piper, the state the tune, it means that whoever is in charge of executive power is often able to ensure that those who are his commissioners and are delegates in the primary elections, that they do his bidding. So this often gives governors and president so much power, within the party in terms of determining who will be the candidate of the party in a new election. And for those who are in the National Assembly, this has been a very big issue for them over time, because those in National Assembly in Nigeria, because of the corruption of the ruling elite, nobody wants to leave political power. So when you come into the National Assembly, after National Assembly, you want to go into governorship, you want to have executive power, because you do not want to be without political power. And they can only do that, by ensuring that they are in the good books of the governors or the president. So what they are trying to do in this case is to remove that power that the executive arm has by ensuring that anybody who is an appointed member of government, will not be able to serve as delegate in the party primary unless they resign their appointment. That is what Section 8412 actually is all about. It says that if you are going to be a delegate in a party primary, or you want to be a candidate in the next general election, you must, resign your appointment 180 days before the elections, so that you can participate in the primary. And what that is to ensure is that all delegates would be the same, without special powers that those who used to be super delegates of the governors used to have. So the point I'm trying to make is that Section 84 of the Constitution and what you are seeing with the mass resignation of ministers is actually an outcome of an internal fight, factional fight within the ruling APC. over control and influence, of the next general elections. And it appears that those in National Assembly, they have won so far, but it doesn't mean that the factional fight itself has ended, because as you know, there are more than 25 applicants for presidency for the presidency in the ruling party as at the moment in Nigeria. Each of them have paid 100 million naira for the fall, and they are all willing, to slug it out in the primary by end of this month and June 3rd. So there's going to be a whole lot of development and happenings in the party. We are likely going to see a whole lot of defection and possibly split within the ruling party in the coming period.
I see that the central bank governor, Godwin Emefiele, is also resigned as a result of this decree.
Well, I haven't gotten the information that he has resigned yet. I've been driving for the past few hours, so maybe I'm behind the news, and you're in South Africa. You are probably much more, informed than I am, which is unfortunate. But then, if he has done that, then it only shows the desperation, of the ruling elite. Because as at the afternoon of today, he was quite adamant that, he wasn't going to resign. Don't forget that about 2 days ago, he had applied, at a federal high court in Nigeria, trying to interpret the laws, vis-a-vis whether he has to resign or not. So if he has done that, it only means that, even a certain bank governor is interested in going all the way. But then that doesn't resolve any issue at the end of the day, because when you look at it, if you look at all of those who are contesting today, all of them are the same members of the same political party. Those who are from the other political parties, like PDP, all of them appears to be from the same political point of view, philosophically. They all support capitalism, support policies of privatization and deregulation. So that at the end of the day, for the Nigerian people, it doesn't matter who wins. Whoever wins out of all of the people that are on parade today, there's a likelihood that the same condition of mass poverty in the midst of plenty will be the lot or the mass majority of the working people in the coming period. And that is why it is necessary for the labor movement in Nigeria to begin to organize the working masses, to guide their alliance to fight for their interests, but ultimately to also build a mass workers' political party with a socialist program that can, ultimately take the control of the destiny of this country away, for the current ruling elite who are in charge of it.
There is chatter that former President Goodluck Jonathan might make a comeback to national politics. How true could that be?
It has been a big issue in Nigeria over the past few weeks. I think in the Bible there's a saying that affliction must not rise a second time. But with Goodluck Jonathan's potential candidacy, it appears that affliction is about to rise a second and a third time in Nigeria. And for a lot of Nigerian people, there is bewilderment. There is a whole lot of surprise and also resentment. But also, it's also a chastening movement for everybody, because don't forget that the current regime of President Buhari came to power in 2015. That's about 7 to 8 years ago, on the basis of the complete failure of the Jonathan government. The Buhari government was elected into power as a sign of complete abandonment, and disapproval of the Jonathan government. So if Jonathan now becomes, in a way, a bride, that everybody is looking out for to succeed President Buhari in one way or the other, it's only a telltale sign that the current regime has failed so woefully that the people are beginning to look to the not too distant past, for some kind of, relief, for some kind of messiah, to save them. And this is not so good for Nigeria. Because if you look at President Jonathan, what does this stand for? During his presidency, Nigeria and Nigerians were in a very, very terrible, situation. So what is it going to bring, to the stage today? Nothing other than the same policies that implemented during his tenure. And this is something that a whole lot of us around Africa have to be very concerned about, because Nigeria is actually a big democracy. Nigeria is a big factor in terms of what happens in Africa. And what we are seeing today, whereby, people have no clear idea of how to move forward and are now looking back, towards the not too distant past, it's not a good sign, for the sustenance of democracy. If you look at what is happening in Mali, Burkina Faso today, you see that in many ways, the Africans are beginning to feel that if democracy does not deliver the dividends that is expected, then perhaps they go back to, other forms of rule. And this is something that if it happens in Nigeria could have a big impact on the rest of Africa. I mean, I'm talking of a military coup, something which is in the works in Nigeria. Don't forget, and I think you also need to cover it, that in the past 2 weeks there have been 2 major lawyers in Nigeria and members of the elite who have called for an interim national government, for the extension of the tenure of the present government. That is, they are calling for the 2023 general elections to be suspended. And what does this mean? It all shows that even from certain quarters in the ruling elite, there's a thinking that perhaps the next general elections is not going to be to provide a way forward, and maybe some form of authoritarian rule is something that is required to keep Nigerians together. We do not want that. We are opposed to military rule. But at the same time, it also means that the working masses have to find a way. Because without finding a way, anything can happen.
Hassan Taiwo Soweto, we'll leave it there. Thanks very much indeed. Your insights always greatly appreciated. We look forward to chatting to you soon.
Thank you for having me. Always
Thank you.
pleasure.
All right.
Yeah.
Okay, looks like the road to the Nigerian presidency is still some way to go, but a lot happening in the meantime. 10 cabinet ministers resigning their posts as per the law to start campaigning to see if they can stand and become the next president of Nigeria.